Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. And today I had to talk about something that is a serious issue right now regarding real estate in Florida. I've spent all weekend talking about it. I made a video about it. I think I released it a couple days ago. Watch it. It talks about the real estate insurance problem we're seeing right now. And in this video, I want to go a little more in depth on what I'm seeing here as a real estate agent on the Gulf Coast that has been affected by Sally and now Ian and Michael and all the ones that hit down the Gulf Coast and Panama City. And it's just becoming a really big issue. I get asked this a lot with people moving here. So I'm going to talk about the things that people are not talking about, my forecast about what is about to happen in the real estate market. Because people aren't talking about it, I feel like I'm the only one that'll step forward and say these things. And I just saw Governor DeSantis get interviewed about the insurance problem in Florida. This could really topple the market and make some houses worth nothing. So here we go. If you haven't seen my videos, I have this channel called Yak Molly where I do everything from real estate to vlogging my life here on the Gulf Coast, fishing, snorkeling, surfing, restaurant reviews, everything that really is life here in Florida, because it's pretty awesome. Except for when we get these humongous hurricanes and man, we've had some apocalyptic ones lately and they've really changed the landscape. So the first thing I want to talk about is I believe we're going to see some really dramatic changes, and that is really coming back to, in the last 10 or 15 years in Florida, we have seen a lot of legislation to really do a lot of things with insurance. Some of it actually drove some of the insurance carriers out of Florida, and it is really kind of drove down to the amount of insurance policies are able to be binded on some of these properties. If we fast forward to Michael and we fast forward to Sally and now Ian, we're going to see the first thing is insurance companies are going to change their standards of insuring again. If you watch my last video where I talked about the many things on a 4-point that an insurance company is just not going to touch anymore, now they're changing the lifespan of your roof. And if you know that a roof is one of the biggest expenditures that you are going to spend on a house when you buy it and you own it. Some of these roofs are $10, $15, $20, $30,000, $40,000, depending on the coverage and the pitch and everything. That this can be a really big burden. And when they take, this boggles my mind, you can take a 30-year architectural shingle and say it's only allowed to live 15 years because all the insurance companies across the board have ganged up and said this is where it's at. Well, during Ian, the number is staggering, $120 billion worth of damage and still climbing. We really got to look and say, hey, what is going to happen? And I think that one, the building code is going to change. All of these properties that are getting, just swiped off the face of Fort Myers and down there around Tampa, a lot of them are mobile homes. I don't think that they're going to allow a lot of those mobile homes to go back and be placed where they are. If they do, they're going to have to be raised. The building code is going to make it to where they're going to have to be built a lot stronger. A lot of the old properties, the old mobile homes, those are gone. And I know we saw it here in Pensacola after Ivan and then after Sally, that a lot of these properties are being built back better standards, better hurricane capabilities. And it really mind boggles me why we're not building a lot of these houses out of concrete and block when we know they're going to get massive hurricanes. I don't know what's up with that. Comment down below if you're a builder and, other than cost, why we're not doing this. Because there's one house out here on Pensacola Beach that is completely concrete and it's survived every hurricane. It's built like a spear, okay? It's a circle and water washes right through it. There's no roof to rip off and it's a battle tank. Anyways, let's get back to it. I think that the standard is going to change. I think that we're going to see a lot of insurance companies, one, just start canceling and leaving the state. I talked about this in my last video. I recently got a cancellation on my house and it was just, hey, we're going out of business. we're going to give you a new person to bind with, and I guarantee you next year they cancel me too. But I think you're just going to see a lot of companies going bankrupt. Really, I think it's a lot of corporate engineering of just say, hey, we're going bankrupt, and they just start another company. They just move the money. But that's for another video. But I think a lot of people are going to get canceled. And then if you look at the statistics of how many houses in Florida bind insurance to close, like if you get a loan, you must have insurance to close. So a lot of houses that had really high values, but they can't pass a 4-point, they can't meet up to standard for the roof, the electrical, the piping, everything. Those properties are going to wind up being cash only deals, and because you can't buy an insurance, or you're going to have to pay $8,000 up front to buy insurance on a really random policy, fix all the issues, which might cost you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and then buy an insurance. And then there's still, and this is one that really got me on mine, they still did an old house stipulation. No matter if everything in my house but the 4 brick walls themselves was new, they still hit me with an old house penalty, and it just grinds my gears because my house is literally could get hit by an RPG and survive. But it just kind of boggles me that's how they look at your house. When some of these houses today are built with like legit OSB and 2x4s with hurricane clips, and they call that stronger, don't get me started on that. So I made a list of the things that I think are going to happen. Like, one, they're going to raise the policies. They're going to raise the premiums to like unbearable numbers, especially if you live in a floodplain. Okay, that floodplain, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, is going to move. Okay, it creeps every year because I'll monitor it here at my house because it started on the other side of the stop sign and now it's on this side of the stop sign. Every year FEMA, you can go to the FEMA website or you can go to your property appraiser's website and click on the flood zones, and it'll pull you up to where the water line is. I think it's usually based upon a 1,000-year storm, right? In 1,000 years, it shouldn't go past this. Well, Ivan went past it. So I think, since I think 80% of houses in the United States, something like that, does not have flood insurance, but we're getting these 1,000-year storms like Ian and Sally and Ivan and Katrina, and these storms are moving, like they're coming past what we normally thought would be the flood line. And then you factor in a blowing sailboat that comes in on the water, and then you factor in the random debris lines, and like then once the sewer and the gutters and everything along the side of the road gets clogged with all the debris, it starts stacking back up. So the mitigation is not always, doesn't survive 36 hours of rainfall. Sorry for the rant, but I think insurance companies and FEMA are going to creep the lines up to where people that used to not have to have flood insurance will have to have flood insurance. And I think the bankers will want to protect their investment by making flood insurance more of a big deal, okay? And you might all of a sudden just get a notification from and lenders comment on this if you know more about this than I do. You might just get a notification from your bank saying you're now in a flood zone and you must buy this type of insurance, and now your mortgage payment, if you escrow, just went up. So what I want to talk about here is the cost of owning real estate is going up, okay? It is. Taxes are going to go up if you don't have homestead exemption. Insurance is going up. Your maintenance on your house has gone up with inflation. I talked about this on the other video. It is now a lot more expensive to get a roof, a hot water heater, and to, etc., and to pay somebody to install it. Workers' comp's gone up. Their liability insurance has gone up. Across the board, everything has got more expensive. So I talked about the idea of the price of a house, the cost of owning the house, and then writing in the risk along with that property. So once you write in the risk and it goes up, and the cost of owning that older house or that house that's not quite up to code, or that, the issues that with that old house, now all of a sudden that house has got to be worth less, okay? Now, I don't think that all of a sudden all these houses are going to be worth zero, but there will be a question mark on their value now that they are not seeing the eyes as insurable cheaply, and in the eyes of binding a loan, because it's going to be really hard to close. And there's going to be so many upgrades and modifications by the seller before the buyer can actually take a hold of the property. So to sum this up, if you cannot bind insurance to a certain specification that the lender or most mortgage lenders want, they will not let you close the property. They will not give you the clear to close. They will not give you the loan, and you do not have the ability to pay for that property. You have to bind insurance to close a transaction. So that will mean that only cash transactions will happen on these properties. And then most people do not want to put that much cash into a house or a property that does not have insurance. You protect your cash with insurance. So that being said, there is an argument that some of these houses will be worth much less if they cannot be insured. The governor, both the state and the federal government is going to have to figure out how to broker these insurance policies, or however that may work, politician-wise, with all these dollars that they're, spending everywhere, and, they're going to have to figure it out. Or Florida real estate and any other, and I'll say this, any other insurance anywhere else. If you've got mudslides, earthquakes, tornadoes, Midwest, we're talking to you, ice storms, blizzards, volcanoes, you name it. It's going to happen to the same thing there. You're going to see these insurances go way up. These policies are going through the roof. It's going to be a really big predicament for the rich to take from both the loan side and the insurance side. You're going to see a lot of investors and flippers and wholesalers getting a hold of a lot of these properties just because some of the owners are not going to be able to fund the transition process that house needs to be sold. So I kind of got to go down this fast. I mean, I got a big list. I think people are going to get canceled. I think policies are going to get raised. I think you're going to see a lot of these insurance companies just go bust and banked up. So it'll create a smaller pool of the amount of policies that you can actually get. The flood zone is going to change. I think a lot of people are going to see bind and cancel. They're going to get a property under contract when they go to purchase it. They're going to buy an insurance, they're going to close, and then the insurance company in 30 days is going to say, we're going to send out our own inspector, or we're just going to send them a cancellation notice and make them do all these things, okay? New roof, new plumbing, new flood insurance on top of it. We're going to make sure, and the deductible is going to go up. Guarantee you the deductibles are going to be the hardest thing. If you got a $4,000 deductible and the roof costs $7,000, and they're going to depreciate out the roof before that they pay you what you think you're going to get paid. So if you've got a roof that's 15 years old and they say you can only have a 15-year roof, you're paying for that roof, okay? So that's going to be another tricky one. Okay, I want to touch on another thing, electric cars, okay? If you look at, let's just say that the average electric car has a 60 amp charger on it to charge real quick, okay? Let's say within a day. And you have two of those in your yard. That's 120 amps, okay? A normal house is only 200 amps. So I think they're going to come out with another reason. They're going to come out with another, I'm going to call it the fifth point on a 4-point. And they're going to want to check these electric hookups on these cars. And if you're charging your car in the garage and it has a giant battery, which is almost like a giant BOMB, okay? Don't want to say it because YouTube's going to get me. But if that catches fire and burns down your house, okay, insurance companies are going to want to know if that's going on, okay? It's happening. Houses are burning down, okay? They want to make sure that it was installed properly, especially on houses that are older and, Uncle Jimmy just hooked up a dryer plug for you to charge your Tesla, okay? That's going to be a big one. Solar panels right now are one of the biggest things that agents argue about because, one, and I'm going to draw fire for this, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that they're giant kites on top of your house during a hurricane, okay? And all the uplift and push down is going on your roof. And that is one of the most expensive things on your house. And it also keeps all the water out from damaging everything and keeps your rafters from rotting, okay? Also, your air conditioner box and everything, if that gets wet, it's toast. So you put these giant solar panels on top of your house, and then most people have a lease on them, okay? And what winds up happening when you go sell your house, most of your equity is drained to pay off their solar panels, because these leases and the ownership is like a second, third mortgage on your property. And so, one, does the new buyer want to assume that debt, or are you willing to pay it off and then lose the equity, lose the money you would get for your house when you sold it? That's a really big issue right now, and some insurance companies won't even bind with solar panels. And I want to say this, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm just a real estate agent that deals with this stuff on a daily basis, and I just got to say something about it. Oh, and on my last video, there was a lot of people talking about why even live in Florida, why even build back. Well, Florida is a humongous income generator. The numbers are staggering on how much money Florida brings in from its tourism, from its economy, from the real estate here. In 2018 alone, I think they brought in $227 billion selling real estate here in the state of Florida. And then if you factor in tourism, about another $100 billion. It is staggering. That's why everybody builds here, is the economic numbers are huge. I'm sorry, if you live in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, nobody's wanting to go there, and no Disney World is wanting to be there. There's a reason why Florida is why everybody wants to go. Yeah, we get hit with a hurricane once in a while, but it is a beautiful place, and I don't think you should be scared to move here. Just buy the right property. New properties that are built right, old properties that are brought up to code, things that are insurable. You can check the insurability about it before you close on it, because you have a home inspection and then you shop for insurance. And make sure you got a good roof and good plumbing and good walls, and it's not in a flood zone. You can check that on the FEMA website or on the property appraiser's website. You don't AE versus X, and you don't want to be in that AE that you might get wet unless you're willing to take that chance, or you build on stilts. I've seen lots of houses on the beach where the water washed underneath the house, but the house. So these are my opinions. I hope this video helped. That insurance is going to be an issue because you have to bind to close here in Florida if you're using a loan. Some people are going to just insure their own houses if they own them outright. And there's a lot of houses out there that are not insured, and you just rebuild. I hope this video helps. Comment down below your thoughts on all of this. I'm sorry I ranted, but I just wanted to put it out there because nobody else seems to be talking about it. The governor is going to have to do something. I think it's going to be national. I think the Congress is going to have to do something. If we can give $40 billion to BOMB Russians, you could at least spend that here on the Gulf Coast where people are wanting to live, and infrastructure. You could solve a lot of problems, like running power lines underground and building more concrete structures, and making building codes make things safer. And it's a very, very interesting question. So I guess I'll talk to you next. Or don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you on the next video. I'll see you later.